I'm Alice, and not only am I an assistant facilitator here at HorseWorld on the Discovery programme, I am also a qualified equine massage practitioner and holistic therapist. I have been around horses since I was very little and always had a passion for helping them as much as I could. I had my first horse when I was 9, very lucky, and had him for 10 years, and it was when I lost him that I started to realise that there was more to just looking at a horse physically from a saddle and a farrier's point of view, and I wanted to learn more. So I then embarked on training in equine massage, and I am completely qualified in sports and remedial. And then I've developed my training, so I'm also a Reiki master, I'm qualified in craniosacral therapy, and a range of other things that all fit really well together. So I look at working with a horse from a physical and a psychological point of view as well. So dealing with a lot of horses that have had trauma in the past, which fits really well with what we do here at HorseWorld as well. So through my training, I also then became a tutor. So for the company that I qualified with, I now teach massage as well. So I was very lucky to be invited to HorseWorld and work with the welfare team here. So they have had a chance to learn a bit about massage and learn different techniques. We have also talked about looking at a horse's conformation. So how the horse is built can then affect how a horse moves, and again how that then can affect them mentally as well. Because if you have got a horse that is quite uneven behind, that's going to be taking a lot of toll on the front of their body where they compensate, and then mentally that can become exhausting. Like us, if we have a limp, then you're going to get tired mentally as well as physically. So the team here, they have learned how to then assess a horse from that capacity as well. We also look at the way that a horse is moving, not necessarily for lameness, but is it just that a horse doesn't move very straight, or do they carry their head to one side or another? Because all of that could be signs that something is out slightly, and we'll then look at how a horse compensates. So when we massage a horse, there are two sides that we're looking at. We think about the physical side as well as then the psychological side. So we do sports and remedial massage. The sports is something that we'd all be familiar as people, where you tend to break down those fused muscle fibres, working on the knots that we have. So in a horse, that is a trigger point in the belly of the muscle, or we look at the stress points. All of that can affect how a muscle can physically work. So that's when we get the compensatory movement. So if you've got a knot in a muscle, the other muscles around it have to work more. So that's when we start to think physically, is our horse moving differently? And where is that coming from? How can we improve those? So by using massage, that then increases the blood flow to a muscle. We then increase the oxygen, which a muscle needs to be able to operate, as well as then increasing nutrients, but it also then takes the toxins that have built up in a muscle away. So then we're flushing out that muscle. Hello, you're being cheeky. Whereas then the psychological benefits also kick in, because by increasing the blood flow and by helping your horse to relax, we're then releasing hormones and getting the horse to have a release in general. So it's then bringing awareness to the body, which then also has a calming influence over the horse. So for horses such as those here at HorseWorld, it can be so beneficial due to the traumas that they have suffered. So whilst here, I have run a session with the welfare grooms, and we have looked at a horse's conformation, so how a horse is built, and we've talked about how the way that a horse is put together affects the horse physically, and how that can then make a horse work differently. And that's when also compensation comes in as well. So if you've got a horse that is very heavy on the forehand, so takes a lot of weight on their front end, then their back end can be quite weak, and the front end becomes fatigued, and they'll get a lot of muscle tightness there. We then have also looked at the way a horse moves. Apparently I'm really exciting. Thanks, mate. We then look at the way a horse has moved. So we'll be looking at their straightness. We don't necessarily look at whether they're lame, how lame they are, but we look at the way that they move. So whilst working with the grooms, I then taught them a range of techniques. All of them can be used for the deeper muscle issues as well as the superficial. From a point of view of how I was teaching them, we were looking more at the superficial layer. This was only a short workshop just to give them the kind of the low-level information to give them really good foundations to be able to work with their horses, whether that is going out and assessing them for welfare cases, when they first come in, working to help them rehabilitate. Again, there's that physically as well as the mental trauma that a lot of the horses here at HorseWorld have gone through. And then we also then look at them, if they're in training, how can we help them build up? So for a horse that was young, that potentially came in, or that we've had in and we are then training to be a ridden horse, the more that we work with them, like us, if we go to the gym, you're going to be tired the next day. Same for these horses. So we are going to give them techniques that they can then use to help these horses feel better, so that then when they come out to work the next day or 2 days later, they're in the best possible physical and psychological way, so that then they can then move forward. The techniques that the grooms have learned here are also going to be beneficial for them when they go out and assess horses, whether that is when we're looking at a new welfare case and horses we may be looking to take in, or even those horses that are currently out on homes. We can have a good feel of the horse, see if there's any sensitive areas that we can be aware of. When we look at the way a horse moves as well, those techniques that I've taught the grooms here, they'll be able to take those forward as well to then look at the horse. So not just from a point of view, has this got food, horse got food, has it got water, is it looking at a good body weight? They'll be able to then put their hands over the horse and have a feel, is there, do you mind? Is there an area of tension that maybe not have been looked at previously? Are we going to be able to assess the horse? So, hello, yes. Can we assess the horse to see if there is more that could be done to help this horse have the best possible life? The massage treatment and techniques that the welfare grooms have received from me is something in addition to everything we already do here. So all the horses receive a high level of veterinary care, whether that's from the everyday vaccinations to the more specialist treatment that these horses do need. The horses also regularly see the farrier who's here every week. They also have a McTimoney chiropractor that comes in regularly. So the massage is just something in addition to all of these things that we already do for the horses here at HorseWorld.